Within these past 24 hours, Joan Laporta had an interview. I believe it was with ESPN, and the interviewer asked Joan Laporta, would you be afraid if Real Madrid signed Kylian Mbappe? And Joan Laporta laughed. And you know what he said? He said, well, of course, if you have someone like Kylian Mbappe, you would have some sort of extra awareness on what could go on the pitch. But here's the one thing that we must all know. When Barcelona is playing as a collective, it beats any team that just focuses on individual players. He says something like that, but he's basically saying when Barcelona is a unit, nothing can stop FC Barcelona, and especially with Real Madrid. Real Madrid can sign whoever they want, but if Barcelona are playing as a team, which is their priority, Joan Laporta makes it a priority, Xavi Hernandez makes it a priority, Real Madrid cannot beat Barcelona. Like, yes, of course, we see Real Madrid sometimes beat this club, but that is because during that time, Barcelona is either in a very vulnerable state or they're not doing well sportingly. But again, when Barcelona is a unit, a team that knows how to function, where every player knows their roles, there is just no way Real Madrid can get through no matter who they sign. They can have a front three of Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe, and Vinicius Jr. with a midfield of Kevin De Bruyne, Kimmich, and Rodri, and they still wouldn't be able to pass FC Barcelona. And so when Joan Laporta said that, right, it was a message to the world. And then a couple of hours later, we saw Barcelona face Real Madrid. We knew Real Madrid have reinforced their midfield. They have signed big time, big name players, but they ended up losing to Barcelona tonight 3-0. Why? That is because in tonight's game, Barcelona played like a real team, exactly what we wanted to see. Of course, Real Madrid signed Bellingham. They signed Tchouaméni a couple of months ago. They signed Arda Güler, but that had little to no effect against a Barcelona team that is well oiled. And this is also another reason why I said a couple of days ago, don't worry about Barcelona losing against Arsenal. Arsenal played 4 games before they played FC Barcelona. That was Barcelona's first game. The moment Barcelona do get into the groove, they have the tempo, they spend more time together, and they start acting like a real team, then we'll start seeing the real Barcelona. And fortunately for us, Barcelona showed up very early and in the second game against Real Madrid, and we beat them again 3-0 with a goal coming from Dembele, a goal coming from Ferran Torres, and a goal coming from Fermin Lopez, a player that we have not even heard about ever. We talked about him maybe just for a couple of seconds in the past week, ever since we saw the squad list on who's going to USA. Fermin Lopez was on that list, but at that time we're like, okay, yeah, cool, that's an academy player, but let's focus on Gundogan and Oriol Romeo and all of these other players. But this guy has made a name for himself. And why today, right? This is again another lesson. Why today are we talking about more about Fermin Lopez over someone like Bellingham? Everybody thought, right, 6-7 days ago, that Bellingham was going to be the star player, that because he's such a big name, he's going to overshadow any midfielder that Barcelona have. But look, Fermin Lopez had the bigger shine. And again, going back to what I said, the reason why he had the bigger shine is because at the end of the day, Barcelona were the better team. It does not matter what the opposition have. As long as we play as a team, we will grow names. We will not sign names, but grow names. And Fermin Lopez is heading towards that direction, and he scored a goal and he provided an assist, taking down Real Madrid on his own. He is a La Masia product. He did enter Barcelona back in 2015, and now we sit here today, 7 years later, talking about his name and how he could potentially be a golden boy. Now, I'm not trying to overhype this player, but this is the correct path. This is exactly what Barcelona is and what we stand for. We also have other reports stating that Xavi has confirmed that Fermin Lopez will stay at Barcelona. Keep in mind that Fermin Lopez left to a different team back on August 2022 on loan. He played 1 full year with them and recently came back in this summer of 2023. And now Xavi has said, hey, look, we did send you on loan last summer, but I want you to stay this time because I trust you. You have convinced me, and I'm going to place you in certain games. And now we fast forward until today, and now Fermin Lopez has responded to that. He has shown up. He has gained the confidence, and now he is delivering. So this will be a player that we will be seeing through the season, and I hope that he does get some minutes. And it's surprising, right? Because now we have someone like Fermin Lopez, and we were trying to look for a attacking midfielder, a creative midfielder. Does this change the whole story? Does this change all of the plans? Because remember that Barcelona were maybe trying to look at someone like Bernardo Silva who can join the midfield, maybe another creative midfielder that we probably don't even know of. Again, does this change the story? And what does this say for players like Gavi, for players like Pedri, for players like Gundogan? Because the options in the midfield continues to stack higher and higher. And who knows what might happen with Pablo Torre, because if Fermin Lopez continues to get better and better, get more minutes, contribute in more goals, then we might probably say goodbye to Pablo Torre by the end of his loan spell. Again, it's too early to tell, but this is one hell of a debut. This is one hell of an introduction. And to be honest, this player also reminds me of Dani Olmo. He's very much like Dani Olmo. If you guys are not familiar with his game, he's a player that is not so so physically dominant, but every time he has the ball, he takes care of the ball very well. When he sees space right in front of him, he runs to that space. He takes advantage of all of those spaces that the opposition does leave behind. And that was one of the reasons on how he found his first goal, is because he took advantage of the space that he saw and he took a long shot. Another thing that he's really good at. We barely do see players like, whether it's coming from Pedri or Gavi or Frankie, like take advantage of all the spaces that they are left in front of them, and they don't even shoot the ball. But with Fermin Lopez, you have another weapon. Okay, so look, I might dedicate a whole video about Fermin Lopez and probably like another video that might come out within the next 4 to 5 days, depending on just how much he does show through the preseason, because I do want to move on some other things. Now let's clarify another thing. With Gundogan and Christensen, yes, they did leave early in the match. Many were assuming that Gundogan and Christensen got injured, but there's nothing to worry about. It has been confirmed that Gundogan nor Christensen have an injury. They have nothing. They had like some sort of small discomfort, but because of that, Xavi Hernandez said, okay, it's okay. Like, this is just preseason. It's a friendly. Just sit down. We'll have you rest. Let's not take a big risk. And I'm sure Xavi was very comfortable taking away Gundogan and Christensen, two key players in the squad, because you know why? Because this team is a real unit. If Gundogan cannot play, no problem. We put another player and he'll supply the exact same thing. If Christensen cannot play, no problem. We'll put in another player and he might potentially supply a new thing, as long as they know their roles very well. This is the importance of having your team run like a real engine and being well oiled. Every player must show up. Eric Garcia played one hell of a game, and we saw Sergio Roberto come in, who is one of our captains, sub in for Gundogan, and he also played a very good game. This is what we want to see. Every player showing up and not having so much favoritism on one player and depending on just one player in every position. And so speaking about Real Madrid did not have a good game at all. They had a backline of Mendy, Alaba, Militao, and Carvajal. Mendy was taken off on the 45th minute, and we saw some player named Garcia. I believe his name is Francisco Garcia, who was playing in the left back position. It was a very easy game on the right side because of his inexperience, and Barcelona took advantage of that. This midfield that Real Madrid were trying to supply between Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde, and Bellingham did not work. Oriol Romeu and Frenkie de Jong were far superior and bossing those four midfielders. And let's speak about Oriol Romeu just for a second, right? I think that Oriol Romeu had a great game. He really did impress, and especially if you compare to his performance against Arsenal, he really came back up. He probably knew himself that he did not have the best debut, but in the game against Real Madrid, he was superior, and he was taking care of players like Tchouaméni, Valverde, and Bellingham with his physicalness, always recovering the ball when Real Madrid were trying to counter through the middle. Oriol Romeu was there. The guy had 47 touches. He had 37 accurate passes with a 97.4% accurate pass success rate. He had one shot that hit the bar. He had one clearance and 3 blocked shots. He was only dribbled past once, and that's basically it. So he had a great game. We can see through the formations and through how every player was positioned that Xavi Hernandez really wanted Frankie and Oriol to form the double pivot. Every time they had possession, Frankie was either going to be sitting right next to Oriol Romeu, or sometimes if Ter Stegen had the ball, Frenkie de Jong went between the center backs and stayed there, and then we had Oriol Romeu, Gundogan, and Pedri forming a 3-man midfield. But in all scenarios, Oriol Romeu was the main defensive midfielder, and I can really see what Xavi Hernandez was trying to paint here, and I can see why he really made it a importance to sign a great defensive, like real defensive midfielder. And going back to what I said, what is the lesson of today? If Barcelona is a team, all midfielders, all center backs, all forwards will be superior to the opposition. Why are we talking about Oriol Romeu having a better performance than other midfielders in Real Madrid, even though we know that those other midfielders in Real Madrid are much more talented than Oriol Romeu? Why is Oriol Romeu having a better game? That is because we are well oiled. I want to continue to repeat this because I don't want any of us to be lost in some false narrative thinking that we must sign great players and that us signing world-class players every season is going to help us fix our problems. None of that, like, it'll be good if we did that, but none of that will matter if we don't focus on our style, our identity, and what we stand for. And we especially must have a coach that knows how to instill confidence in every player when they are in their roles. So top performers of this match, I'm going to say Frenkie de Jong was one of them, like definitely one of them. He was very intense. You can see that physically he has improved, always trying to outbody the opposition. There was a real fight. He's becoming much better as a ball recovery player. I'm also going to say that Oriol Romeu was one of the surprise and most top performers in the match. Another player that I also do want to call out is again Fermin Lopez, because he scored a goal, provided an assist. That assist to Ferran Torres was just amazing. The fact that he saw that player open in a very compact, tight space, it shows you the quality of the player, and I want to see more from him. And with his golazo, right, like that top left corner shot was just so amazing. It erupted the stadium. Every Barcelona fan, I even saw some Barcelona fans cry because of how passionate they were at that moment. It was a statement. It was a moment for every Barcelona fan. And again, Fermin Lopez was leading the way. And another player that I do want to shout out is Ter Stegen because of his top class performance, blocking many shots. He was the MVP of tonight's game, and I want to congratulate Ter Stegen because he was one of the main captains in the squad, and he was definitely captaining that defense. Now, unfortunately, I feel like Ter Stegen could have had an even better game, but because Serginho Dest was not having his best performance and being just outclassed and getting destroyed by Vinicius, Ter Stegen had to do a lot more work in the last 15 to 20 minutes. I don't know what's going on with Serginho Dest, but to see Serginho Dest suffer like that and just like not defend at all, it shows you why Xavi Hernandez is making it a priority to sign a brand new right back, and I hope that Barcelona take care of that type of business very soon. But again, it's a time to celebrate. Barcelona won 3-0. As always, we are the superior ones. When we are a team, there's not going to be a single game where we're going to see Real Madrid outclass us. There's just no way. And so I can't wait for La Liga to start. We're here, and we're here to make a statement. And so let's do this, baby. Like, let's do this. Like, let's make a few more signings and we go. Barcelona already look ready. So thank you guys so much for watching it, and I will see you guys in the next one.